Hello, 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 and welcome. Welcome to Joanne's Healing Within. I'm your host, Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, your certified holistic personal trainer, intuitive healer, cosmic energy reader, medical astrologer, master of numerology, the creator of the chakra balance numerology cosmic energy forecast deck. And just in case you're wondering, the scene behind me, yes, I am the owner of Holistic Fitness, located right here in Queens, where I'm at. And yeah, come join me if you're ever in Queens. Yes, it's really a fitness facility, it's a personal training facility. There's a whole lot more than just what you see behind me. So anyway, I want to remind you to share, like, and comment on today's show. And if you've missed any episodes, know that you can catch us on Roku and also two YouTube channels. One is Strong Island Entertainment. The other one is Holistic Fitness, Barry Cologne. And considering holidays are coming, snow is coming, you might be able to do a marathon and just catch up on any episodes you might have missed. Now, hopefully you caught last week's show, which was a brilliant show. It was actually like a part two. The week beforehand, I had Gabriella and also Nick both on the show speaking about healing prompt therapy, which Gabriella, and I screw up her last name, so I'm not even going to try to say it. She is a medical intuitive, and she's also the founder of Alive Health Solution. And she demonstrated a beautiful, beautiful healing prompt therapy session with Nick Rafter, our volunteer, in regards to the VX. And last week, she came on with him, and Nick Rafter shared his experience of working with her for the last week and what that did for him. So if you did not catch last Sunday's show and the Sunday before that, you can always go back again, Roku or those two YouTube channels. But for now, stay here with me because we do have an exciting show today. And before I dive into all the things I want to dive into, let me just give a shout out to our amazing advertising sponsors that help make this show run week after week after week, starting off with CJ Ives Lopez. She is the host and publisher of the Author's Porch magazine and podcast. Joe Monkment, he is a shamanic healing practitioner and wellness advocate. Kendrick Greer, our amazing, amazing astrologer, plus he's also an amazing graphic designer, has designed every cover to all my books that I've created. We already spoke about Gabriella. She's a medical intuitive, founder of the Alive Health Solution. And we have a brand new, we have two brand new advertising sponsors. They sort of come together, which is Kitty, and I'm gonna leave out the middle portion of her name and just say Force, because she's got a really long middle name like mine. She's the storyteller of astrology. And then there's Amy Martin, who is a transformational intuitive. They are both the host of the Intuition of the Soul, which you definitely want to follow them because they have some amazing, amazing programs that take place on the Intuition of the Soul. I'll speak about them a little more later at the end of the show. Anyway, let's dive in. Let's dive in, at least to the introduction of today, what's going on in the cosmic world. There's a lot going on. Today is the 21st of November, I like to say the last 2 days of Scorpio season. And I know for you Scorpios out there, you're probably saying, thank goodness, because there's been a lot of energy in Scorpio season, being that Pluto has been in retrograde, but no longer. And Pluto is ruled by Scorpio, or should I say Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. I always get that backwards, but that's okay. And when we think of Scorpio season, it's the 8th house energy, where it's a lot about things coming to an end, almost like magic, disappearing, and new things are on their way. So major transformations taking place, but we only have 2 more days of that. And when we think about tomorrow's energy, which is the 22nd, one of my favorite numbers in numerology, because it is a master number. Now, if you don't know anything about master numbers, just know this. Master numbers carry a much higher vibration than single-digit numbers. The 22 carries the same meaning of the number 4, which is all about building a new foundation, balance, stability, and being patient enough so you can build that foundation. That 22 carries a higher vibration. So it's not just building a foundation on the surface, It's really about building a foundation that serves your highest purpose and bringing and coming together with those who are going to help you build that foundation. But anytime we build the foundation, we have to be patient about it. So that's actually tomorrow's energy just on the whole of just that day, the 22nd. And that's actually the last day of Scorpio season. What I'd like to share with you a little bit today, which you're probably saying, oh, she's going to talk about Sagittarius season. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to invite you to go watch my YouTube forecast that I did just this morning, and you can catch that on Holistic Fitness Barry Cologne and catch Sagittarius season and everything that's in tune for this week's energy, because there's a lot going on as we do move into Sagittarius season. But what I like to talk about for today, which I think is really, really important, is the fact that Venus and also Pluto, which you already know this, are both in Capricorn energy. And what does that actually mean for you? Well, let's break it down. Venus is about love, relationship, and money. Now, when we speak about love, love for self and others. Most important love portion of that is loving thyself. Before we can love others, we must learn to love thyself. Pluto is also about, as you already know, I've spoken about this so much over the last 6 months since it went retrograde. It's now directo. Pluto is our demolition planet. Pluto is going to help us evolve, let go of what doesn't serve. Now, when you have Venus and Pluto literally next to each other, Pluto and Venus are working together to help us love ourselves more, create better relationships with those around us, and also create a really good relationship with money. And when we think about this energy of Capricorn, Capricorn is the 10th house energy. So it is really about the work that we do, our soul's purpose work. So I want to pose this question, and that question is, the work that you go to every day, that you're working either 9 to 5 or 12-hour days, is that work that serves your purpose? Because if you wake up every day and you're dreading going to work, you're dreading the travel, you're dreading the people you're around, you're dreading the fact that you're not getting paid enough, then that's an indication that that does not serve you. Therefore, this energy that Venus and Pluto are working hand in hand together may help you transition out of that job. And as it should. Because again, when we talk about that 10th house energy, it is about the work that we do that serves us on a higher level. And that's exactly what's going to take place as Venus and Pluto again in Capricorn energy. Now, interesting enough, Venus will be going retrograde in Capricorn energy as of December 19th. So we do have a little while before that happens, and I'll talk more about that later on. But I do want to get you prepared that as we are in this Venus-Pluto-Capricorn conjunction, it is about really getting to know who you are on a deeper level and doing the spiritual work. Yes, your physical work that you go to every single day, but also how you are working on yourself. And that's really important for you to pay attention to. And I also would like you to find out, tap into, look up where Pluto and Venus are on your astrological chart, because this is going to help you get a better understanding to the theme. And I use that word a lot on how this conjunction between Venus and Pluto work together to help you in one area of your life. And I'm going to speak more about this probably on my radio show coming the first Wednesday in December. So stay tuned for that, because there's going to be a lot of energy between now and then. So mark your calendar to come join me on the first Wednesday in December to learn about this conjunction and how things are going to be evolving around you and the theme for you. And I may also open up the opportunity for each of you to email your questions regarding your theme and where it sits on your chart. So it's really important to go and look up your chart to find out where's Venus, where's Pluto, and how that's going to come together with Capricorn helping you. So with all that being said, I want to take a really quick shuffle on my cards to help you end Scorpio season, move easily into this Pluto-Venus conjunction, and prepare for Sagittarius season. So there's a lot. And just for today, we're going to work with one chakra. Just for today, it's so interesting the card shows in reverse. Our intuition. So the big question that I have to ask is, how many of you are not trusting your intuition? How many of you are not focused? How many of you are confused and not being able to make easy decisions? Well, if that's the case, connect with your root chakra so you can trust and make really good decisions and trust your intuition. 2 and 4, choose the partnerships that we are connecting with right now. Partnerships are a really strong thing right now. The 4 energy is your foundation, is what it is you are working on based on that 22 energy I was talking about for tomorrow. That's that 4 meaning, your foundation, balance, stability, and being patient enough to build. 2 and 4 is a 6 energy. When we think of that 6 energy, it is about your karmic lessons, healing, and making sure you schedule meditation, movement, your nutrition, your water, your rest, and I can go on and go on and go on. Schedule all that into your daily routine so you can really start falling in love with you, because that really is the energy that Venus and Pluto are going to help you do. So all that being said, I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and I invite you to stay with me, get some water, whatever it is, and I look forward to bringing on my guest, Nick Rafter, shortly, whom I forgot to mention in the advertising sponsorships because he's one of our advertisers as well. He is, of course, our editor, our real estate agent, journalist, and also writer. He does it all, and he's going to be on shortly. I'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Nick Rafter, journalist, writer, editor. I'm happy to be offering copy editing and line editing services at competitive industry rates. If you have a book or any document that needs to be edited and thoroughly looked through, please contact me at nickrafter@gmail.com. Let's discuss how to get that work done. That's Nick Rafter, NICKRAFTER, @gmail.com. I hope to hear from you soon.
Hey guys, welcome. We are back on Other Sports. I am so excited to be here with my co-host Anastasia. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am good. It's so good to see you again. We don't get to see each other very often. We might have to do this every week, Tonight we are also talking with Scott.
Hello, my name is Nick Rafter, journalist, writer, editor. I'm happy to be offering copy editing and line editing services at competitive industry rates. If you have a book or any document that needs to be edited and thoroughly looked through, please contact me at nickrafter@gmail.com. Let's discuss how to get that work done. That's Nick Rafter, NICKRAFTER, @gmail.com. I hope to hear from you soon.
Hey guys, welcome. We are back on Other Sports. I am so excited to be here with my co-host Anastasia. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am good. It's so good to see you again. We don't get to see each other very often. We might have to do this every week, Tonight we are also talking with Scott.
Hello and welcome back to Joanne's Healing Within. I am your host, Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, and I'll introduce my guest in just a minute. Just want to remind you, if you are just tuning in now because you missed maybe the first 10 minutes of the show, no worries. You can catch it on Roku or the 2 YouTube channels, which is Strong Island Entertainment and or Holistic Fitness Barry Cologne. Our card for the day, the energy for the day, which actually showed up in reverse, which means we really need to work on the root chakra today because there's going to be a lot of shifting taking place over the next 2 days, 48 hours. But for now, we're working on our intuition. And the number 6, the 2 and 4, that 6 energy is all about really scheduling in our health, fitness, and wellness into practice, because that's really important. And it's also something that helps to activate your intuition. So go back and watch the beginning of the show later. And you can also catch us on Roku. Remember that, Roku. And I believe we're streaming on Twitter right now. So all our Twitter fans, hello. Hey, so now Nick Rafter is here with us today. He's been with us for the last 3 weeks. I've had the honor and the pleasure of having him with me last 2 weeks, and now he's here today. Nick, how are you?
Good. It's one of my friends who's watching has referred to this as Nick Vember.
As Nick what?
Nick Vember, like November, because I've been on the show every week this month.
Oh, that's cool. He should have mentioned this earlier. We could have called it that. That would have been a
just
fun.
Said it like 2 seconds ago before you.
Yes, that's a fun, juicy topic. Nick Vember. Yeah, I like that. Yes, and Nick is going to be sharing today about his healing journey that he has not only done in the last 2 weeks, but that he's been actually working on himself since the last 2 years. Now, Nick, just really quickly, because I believe this even goes back further than 2 years ago. When did you and I meet?
2015, I guess.
Was it
Yeah,
2015?
2015?
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you remember when you had your first Reiki treatment with me? I mean, I have it on the wall there, but I can't go to the wall to look at it.
Yeah, it was like June of 2016. I think we decided to do it in my office. At the time I was the editor of a local newspaper, and Joanne was our health and nutrition columnist. And she said, well, you should do a Reiki session and write about it. I said, that's a great feature story. So naturally I pitched it. It was approved or whatever. But then didn't realize that she meant to do it in the office, that we were going to the studio. So she did it in the office, which ended up being actually a really fun way of like seeing the rest of the staff sort of pay attention to saw what was going on, and photographers taking pictures of it. So it turned out to be a really good feature story. We actually won an award for it.
Oh, you did? I didn't know.
Yeah, I thought.
How come I didn't know this?
I don't know. I thought I told you. It was a press association award for best health column or best health feature or something like that. I think it was a third place award. But
nice, congratulations! Since you wrote the article.
it was my article. I wrote about it. It was the first-hand account of what a Reiki session was like. It was the first one I ever had, and that I think was really the beginning of this whole, journey that we're talking about today. That's still going on. I mean, it's not like this is like the end of it, but
yes,
that's really where it started.
That's the beauty when we think about it regarding healing, because I get this question asked all the time in reference to. It's very similar to like the fitness industry. Like once I get started, like how soon will it be finished? Like when can I stop?
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things that, at least from my point of view, especially the two together, fitness and also the whole healing journey is an ongoing process, because you constantly keep peeling a layer. And interesting enough, because one of the things that I now do in the last 10 years is I've blended the actual fitness components of it and blend it as a holistic practice. So it's not just about the two things separately. So when my clients do come to work with me, it's a blend. It's not like they come and just do their personal training and they just focus on getting stronger and looking better in their clothes, but they come together for both. Maybe not in the same session, but they definitely do. So when I approached Nick about doing the Reiki, as a hands-on experience for him, I didn't initially think we were going to do it in the office neither. Just to let you know that it was not something that was on my mind. Say, oh, we're going to do this in the office. I don't even know how that came about that we did it in the office, but it was definitely a good idea, because it then, like you said, it helped all the people that you worked with get a better understanding to what this was.
Yeah.
So now, from your point of view, because I can explain it, but I'm going to explain it based off a practitioner's point of view as a client of Reiki. What is Reiki for you, and what has it helped you do up until this point?
It's funny because the first session is very different than the most recent sessions. It really started feeling more like meditation in a traditional sense, that you would kind of just do. People, I don't want to say people who aren't as spiritually inclined or has the experience would do like a little meditation. It was kind of like that. and you sort of have to to see what you're looking for. Like I can't describe exactly what I'm looking for now because I see it, but you have to sort of start listening to. Hold on a second. Biden's calling.
We are live.
Yeah, and you have to sort of like see what, listen to like what your spirit guide's telling you. And when you start, you don't know how to do that. You just don't. I mean, maybe some people will know how to do it intuitionally when they start, but I didn't. And so what I was really just doing is sort of like meditating, seeing what I'm seeing, and trying to make sense of what I was seeing in my meditation. And often my mind would wander, and I would think of things, and I had to learn to sort of shut that off because the first few times I'm doing Reiki and I'm meditating and I'm thinking about work or something else, that wasn't my spirit guide talking to me. That was my mind talking to me. And then I wasn't getting anything out of it.
Yes.
So the first lesson that you really have to learn is you have to sort of like learn, if your mind starts to wander at the beginning, shut it off. And sometimes what might happen is that what happens to you is you think your mind is wandering, right? But actually it's your spirit guide talking to you. And that was sort of a thing you had to learn. It's hard for me to describe in words how you know the difference, except to say that the colors are more vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
And
what I like to add before you go further with that, just to help the viewers out, in regards to when anyone starts this practice, and any healing practice for that matter, it is one of those situations where some people, like Nick mentioned, some people can make that connection in reference to quieting their mind and start to see, like Nick said, or they feel, or they hear. And then at the same token, some people come in completely as a beginner, where as the practitioner that I am, this is what I work with that client on, is to get them to become aware of their senses to begin with, and then recognize whether or not they are somebody that actually can visualize by seeing, or visualize by hearing, or visualize by feeling. And that, even for myself as a practitioner, I had to learn and understand that not everybody has the same method. Like when I first started doing the work that I did, I would always just assume everybody was a visionary, where everybody was able to see what it is I was guiding them to see. And then realize that that wasn't the case, that there are some people who, no matter how much they work on visual meditation, they just do not see it. It could be a feeling. It could be that they hear something. So everyone is very different. I truly believe, though, as time goes on, when one really works on this process of connecting within, they can develop those skills. One may always be a little more heightened than another, but like Nick is saying, in regards to being able to quiet the mind, that you could just stay focused. Sometimes even with that, even as much as you try to quiet your mind, sometimes you'll have a thought that will show up that in your mind you might say, well, why is this here? I need to push it away. But as I like to say, is if a thought is showing up and it keeps showing up and you just can't push it away, there's a reason why it's showing up.
Right. Because sometimes what will happen is we'll start a session, my mind will be, I won't be able to turn it off immediately, but then I will. But then the same thought comes back, right? Let's say I'm thinking about work, for example. I think a good example was the last session we had on Thursday. I came between work sessions. So it was like, I came from work, went to Reiki, went back to work. So my mind was on work. We were starting the session, and I was thinking about, whether the Zoom call will work, from where I was to go into this digital summit that I was going to. And I was like, well, that's distracting, so let's turn that off. So I turned it off, and then 5 minutes later, it came back. And I was like, okay, well, this is not, I know I turned my mind off. So why is this here? And so, I said, okay, this is important. I have to focus on it in my meditation. And so that's what I did. It was part of that. And, the message that I was getting was that it was very vital for me to be in that call. So make sure everything is ready to go. And of course, I was in that call, and then I got business from that call. So, sometimes the same thought pops into your head. And I think sometimes that confuses people to thinking, oh, well, this is all, for lack of a better term, BS. And, but that's not what it is. I mean, when you do this for a while, when you're not able to turn your mind off versus when your spirit guides are talking to you. You realize it. And for me, I think the only way I can describe it, like I said, is the colors are different. And it sounds ridiculous, but there's
no, not at all. I would think that's
us, but I think if I said to some of my friends, they'd be like colors, but it just there's just more vibrancy. There's more of like this sort of like 70s disco, like colorish, like the colors like moving, like where they're 3D, I guess. And it's kind of like that. Have you ever seen like a 3D picture without 3D glasses? That's kind of what it looks like. And so once I began to realize that was, the messages, then I was able to read them better. Because there's sometimes where I'm trying to meditate, and I cannot turn off my mind, and those messages are not in that color, and I'm like, okay, well, this is a problem. I need to come back and do this another time. But that was a big learning curve for me, is to learn when I'm having these messages sent to me. And then sometimes you don't get them. I mean, we've had times where it's like, ask your spirit, ask your higher self this, and I don't get the message. I don't get anything, and maybe there's nothing to get, or I get it later, or I get it in a dream, or,
Exactly. Exactly. Plus, I want to add to that too, in regards to when you are in that space of connecting with spirit, whether it's higher self, higher power, loved ones, whatever have you, sometimes the insight doesn't always show up right then and there.
Right.
That it can very well show up much later, whether it is you turn on the radio and an advertisement shows up and all of a sudden that advertisement catches your attention, there's your message. Or you turn on a song and the lyric in a song catches your attention, there's your message. Or you're in the grocery store and you're standing in between people, and either the person in front of you or the person behind you said something, catches your attention, there's your message. So it doesn't necessarily have to be right then and there. As you were saying?
Deja vu. I've learned a lot of times deja vu is when that happens. It's when, for me, it's always when I forgot about the message and I'm being reminded that this is
exactly.
And it's interesting because all week I thought about how to best describe this, because now I become so good at reading that oftentimes I get messages very, very quickly, almost like an email instantaneously. And I think last week was a good example of that when Gabriella was here. We were doing the healing and the number 17 popped into my head. And immediately before I asked any question or dug around, I knew it meant 17 days.
Yes.
And I didn't say days. There was no calendar. It just was like the feeling was there.
Of course, yeah. Your intuition, the word intuition came in to let you know that it was 17 days versus, let's say, 17 hours or 17 months.
Proteins, which she thought it might would
cover. Exactly.
So it's a matter of really also trusting what you're hearing, because now that I look back on this, I've had these experiences before we even started healing. And I just didn't trust it. I was just like, oh, well, this is myself telling me what I want to hear, or it's just a word that, like, I would never have thought of 17 days as a thing. I would just thought that like days were the first thing that came to my mind when I saw a number. But I guess that was like a Rorschach test when you see a blob and you try to figure out what it is. Like, it's kind of like that, where it's the first thing that comes to your mind, and you really can't explain why that's what it is. We just run with it.
Exactly. And when we speak, when Nick is sharing today, Nick is going to be sharing different experiences that he's had over the last 2 years with a variety of practitioners, where he was just speaking about his experience that he did have last week with one of our amazing guests that was here 2 weeks in a row. She did what she calls a healing prompt therapy session with him, in reference to, she refers to as muscle testing, which they did, I think, off air, for him to understand how to connect with his body and getting yes and no answers. And if you watch last week's show, as I had asked Nick to do when he was doing the muscle testing and she was asking him questions, I asked him if he can hold off on giving his yes or no response until his body literally started showing. Because with the muscle testing, when you get yes or no response, what happens in the body is the body will vibrate at a specific area, such as it did for Nick. And then physically, visually, we get to see that if you wait long enough to not respond. Because I know from my own experience, when I do muscle testing for myself, I will literally purposely not say yes or no to the answer out loud until the person who's with me can physically, visually see my body in that motion of movement. Because again, for me, and I know for some of our viewers out there, it's like we have to see it to believe it. Otherwise, the viewers might be saying to themselves, okay, well, he's just saying yes, but he's not really feeling it. But because he identified his yes and no motion, he was able to determine, and we were able to see it as viewers to witness this amazing technique that Gabriella shared with him and taught him how to connect with his own body. So as he was saying about that experience, so go ahead, Nick, more about that experience with Gabriella.
Yeah, I mean, with Gabriella, it was I don't know if it was difficult, but it was different because I sometimes feel, so when we do muscle testing, the way I did it is use my body as a pendulum and forward for yes and side to side for no. And that's the way I've always done it, just the easy way of doing it, and I just kept it that way. But oftentimes I feel myself moving before anyone can see it, and so it doesn't come across, like I don't do this, so I had to sort of like force my body to give more visual answers in order for it to make sense on the TV, because I was
believe it or not, if you did not respond, if you would have waited on holding on to the response, your body would have actually done that huge motion. And I can speak from experience because I've done it. And I've had, when I work with my clients, obviously off air, I ask them to not say what the answer is until they can literally feel their body in that motion. Mm-hmm. And I can visit. Now, again, for me, I can actually feel it along that. As you're feeling it, I'm feeling it. So I already know what your body is doing before your body actually does it. And that's, many practitioners do that too. So I don't think it's so much about you having to force your body to actually make that full motion. It's just more about allowing the body to do it. And before you know it, it will be visible for those who are watching, see that experience, that evidence of your answer. Yeah. And for you, in regards to that muscle testing, where do you feel the energy start from before it actually becomes?
Neck.
In your throat?
Literally, well, neck. Yeah.
Oh, neck.
Because I literally feel like my head doing this.
Like a chicken? Neck. Oh, wow.
Like
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it just kind of pushes the rest of the body. So kind of like sort of a weird motion like that.
Ah, yes.
And so that's where it comes from. Like that's where I look for it too. And so you start seeing the head tilt a little bit, or do that. And also, interestingly, something I found out this week, because I think we talked about this. I have I don't say chronic, but I have regular knee pain in my right knee that comes and goes, and I haven't had it in a few years, and I had it for a day this week. And interestingly, what I find is I muscle tested with my knee. And I found that when my knee moves side to side is when it hurts more than when it moves this way. And so, what the pain is, and I've discovered, is negative energy. And that's why my knee hurts so badly when it does the no motion.
Interesting.
It went away after that, once I figured that out.
Excellent. Now, we're doing the work with Gabriella in regards to the Reiki work that you're used to doing with me. From your point of view, what is the difference regarding the work that you do with her and the Reiki work? Because I'm sure
I think-
there's a small difference.
Well, there's a big difference, and I think it has to do with physical feeling.
Oh, okay.
One is physical, one is emotional. I think. Well, it's both. I mean, it's more physical for what we did with Gabriella than it is with Reiki. There were physical symptoms that were alleviated through it.
Yes, through the muscle testing that Gabriella did with you, through the healing prompt therapy.
Yeah. So
we want to make sure we get that name correctly. The healing prompt therapy is what Gabriella did that showed up the physical symptoms for you. Yes.
Yeah. So like a good example is before you did the healing, I was talking about my headaches in the back of my head that I was getting, and then my head felt heavy, and so that alleviated my head, making it feel lighter and less like I had a hangover. And it also alleviated the symptoms with my eyes. I had like buildup of gunk in the morning, worse than usual, and it alleviated that as well. And and I don't think there was any emotional problem stemming from what we were healing with Gabriella. So there was nothing to heal, but at least from what I could tell. But when we do Reiki, it's much more emotional, much more, inside, internal feelings.
Yes.
And not as much physical. Sometimes it's physical, but it's mostly not.
Well, I would think theoretically, when you think about the two modalities, the Reiki and the healing prompt therapy, they sort of work really hand in hand.
Yeah.
Like what I know about the healing prompt therapy and also muscle testing is that something you can use for everything. So, for example, if you're sort of craving a particular food, you can literally muscle test to see, okay, does this serve my highest purpose to have it? Or is it something that I need because I'm needing to feed the inner child? And both, there is no wrong answer, but it's just getting a better understand. Does it serve me to have the ham, or does it serve me to have the chicken?
Right.
And muscle testing, which would be better for you. And now that you know that your yes answer and no answer, you could do this everywhere and anywhere. In the supermarket, does it serve you to buy this versus this? Does it serve you to do this versus that? And it's a great technique to help you eliminate doing things that really don't serve you.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned food, because one of my ongoing problems, but there's two involving food. One is that I tend to anxious eat. So I eat when I'm anxious, and I don't know that I'm eating sometimes, and that's kind of a problem because I'll eat a whole bag of potato chips and not know it. And then my tendency to need like sweet, sugary stuff. Like it's a little bit of an addiction where I just need to taste something sugary and sweet. And so I really just sort of went through the list of things that I crave regularly and asked, like, does the service of craving it, is it worth the feeling I get after it? Like, is it worth having a glass of soda, a glass of Coke, because the taste of the Coke will satisfy me, and then feel bloated for the next 4 hours. So that's I've done that in a way that's helped more recently, because I've been able sort of to skip the soda and find the satisfaction in something else. So, for example,
I want to throw something in that, and this will actually be a topic I'm going to be sharing on my radio show the first Wednesday in December. The connection that we have with food, the relationship that we have with food, and also the mindset where, okay, as you mentioned, the soda, if having it, then the reaction after having it is bloating. But that's also the mindset, because somewhere along the line, either you heard it and it's the mindset. So because that's what you think when drinking soda, now that's what physically has to happen to the body.
Yeah.
So again, it really falls into that alignment of, if you really like soda and you're doing that muscle testing, after, of course, you change that whole mindset about how a certain thing that you're drinking or eating is creating this physical symptom, shifting that mindset out. And then once you've done that, perhaps you can have the soda without the bloat. And there are some real great magic tricks that you can actually implement, so you can have something that you might like, such as the soda, and not have the side effects of bloat, so to speak. But before we, dive into that whole conversation, and like I said, I'll be sharing more about that on my radio show in conjunction to that Venus Pluto in Capricorn energy, because that really has a lot to do with the Venus energy of loving ourselves and also loving food, that relationship. And unfortunately, there's so many people out there who has a really distorted relationship with food just based off mindset and different things that we've learned over our lifetime. But Nick, if you wouldn't mind, just share your information to where the viewers can reach you.
Mm-hmm. You reach me at nickrafter@gmail.com or my website, nickrafterwrites.com.
Excellent. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, Nick is going to share his experience of working with Natal Bradbury, which was one of the other most recent practitioners on our show. So we'll be right back with that.
If you are turned off by conventional medicine and their mantra, "Do you want meds for that?" there's a better option. I'm Gabriella Mihalichin, medical intuitive and healer. Let me help you find the root cause of your illness and guide you through healing. My intuitive method directs your body to heal itself and removes barriers to healing. I invite you to schedule a session today at alivehealthsolutions.com.
Hello, my name is Nick Rafter, journalist, writer, editor. I'm happy to be offering copy editing and line editing services at competitive industry rates. If you have a book or any document that needs to be edited and thoroughly looked through, please contact me at nickrafter@gmail.com. Let's discuss how to get that work done. That's Nick Rafter, NICKRAFTER, @gmail.com. I hope to hear from you soon.
Did you know that astrology and numerology influences your metabolism and weight? Hello, I'm Reverend Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, your certified holistic personal trainer, intuitive healer, cosmic energy reader, student of astrology, master of numerology, and the creator of the Chakra Balance Numerology Cosmic Energy Forecast Deck. And I help women and men by referral release issues from their tissues while releasing emotional weight and falling in love with themselves. As I witness the transformation of watching each client become the best version of who they are. To redeem your first discovery session at 10% off, email healingwithin76@gmail.com. I do look forward to helping you release your issues from your tissues and falling in love with yourself. Hello and welcome back to Joanne's Healing Within. For those of you who are just tuning in, I'm your host, Joanne Angel Barry Cologne, and I have my amazing guest, Nick Rafter, who is our real estate agent and also writer, editor, and journalist. So all those needs, please reach out to him for that. If you are just tuning in, please go back after the show and catch everything you've missed. You could do that by checking in on Roku and also the 2 YouTube channels, Strong Island Entertainment and also Holistic Fitness Barry Cologne, or you can watch it here again because it does replay. Either way. So we just recently shared about Nick's healing experiences that he's had since the last 2 years. He's had the opportunity to work with a variety of different practitioners. And we just spoke about Gabriella, who was on the show 2 weeks ago. And now we're going to dive in a little bit and talk about 2 other healers. One is Natal Bradbury. He is the founder of the Mystic Warrior Academy. And then we're also going to speak about Sherry Simpson. I believe she actually has a new title now, but I, for the life of me, cannot remember that title. But she does a lot of transformational work as well. So let's start off with Natal Bradbury. What was your experience with him when working with him, Nick?
Well, it's funny because they both, Sherry and Todd, kind of one led to the other. So with Natal, we did what was called the chi manipulation.
Yes.
Where you clear the blockage causing pains and discomfort.
Yes.
And Sherry did past life regression.
Regression, yes.
Where she hypnotized me and sent me back to a past life, and that was terrifying.
I remember that.
There was a lot of pain and discomfort and problems stemming from that past life that Sherry wasn't able really to clear because that's not what she does. that Natal was able to clear. And so this was about like 6 months after Sherry, and Natal and I were speaking about like physical symptoms that I had, digestive issues, and some like chronic pain and stuff, my knee, and he did a chi manipulation where he was able sort of, and it felt um, like a chiropractor, manipulating your bones, but without anyone touching you.
Ah,
It was
so like long distance chiropractic.
yeah, and it was a little bit scary because you kind of are immobilized, but by he kind of through like a form of hypnotism, not the same one that Cherry did. You were more immobilized, and then it was kind of like going through each body part to make sure it's clear, and then clearing it, and then making sure it moves. It's kind of like oiling the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. Like it was a little bit like that, and so that's what we did with him, and that was interesting because there was a lot of physical symptoms that date back to the beginning of the pandemic that were just hanging around that I was able to clear with him. And it also is why I knew about my knee and how to deal with my knee was lessons that he taught about, sort of dealing with the pain and then figuring out where it's from. And that's how I realized to do the muscle testing, in which I knew there was negative energy that had to be cleared because of the fact that my knee was hurting more when the muscle test was no than yes. And that really came from that session that I did with him.
From Natal?
From the town, yeah.
Natal, yes. Nice. So you had like that chi manipulation from Natal. You had the muscle testing from Gabriella, and then you had the past life experience, which I witnessing that, because I remember that like it was yesterday, that was amazing. Because isn't that where you also found out why you didn't want to be a doctor?
Yeah. I mean, I was extremely hesitant to do that, and I think you really pushed me to do it, and I was like, because
the only reason why I pushed you to do it, it was my own selfish reasons, because I wanted to see a past life regression take place. And why not do it live where the whole world can see?
The idea of being hypnotized was terrifying to me. Like I don't like the idea of not being in control.
Yes.
And so I really had to have a long conversation with Sherry where I was like, all right, I'm going to trust you not to send me into a place where because I'm worried about getting trapped and never coming back. Like that kind of was where I was concerned with. And so what I remember about that experience was I have occasionally and I've actually meditations helped heal this too, what's called sleep paralysis.
Yes.
And so that is the scariest thing that has happened to me. It doesn't happen much anymore because meditation has sort of helped to deal with that. But it felt like that. Your body just went limp. You're still consciously aware, but you couldn't do anything. And so what I remember about it was Sherry sort of talking me through this. And then like I was in my, not physically because she was over the computer, but I was holding her hand the whole time, like reaching out for her hand. Because I wanted to like in my, in wherever we were in the subconscious. And we learned that in a past life, I was a doctor that was, and I think it was France. I'm pretty sure it was France.
Yeah, I think it was France. Yes.
In like the Middle Ages or somewhere later than the Middle Ages, where modern medicine wasn't really accepted because it was anti-Christian or anti-Catholic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was imploring modern medicine ideas, and the church didn't like it, and so they like arrested me, like killed my family, like set me, like burned my wife at the stake, all this crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that was utterly terrifying because at one point, like I was locked away in this like French dungeon with like looking out of the jail cell window at a stake where they were burning people. And it was just like, I don't want to be here. I want out of here. And I remember at one point, like Sherry saying, how do you feel? I'm like, I'm terrified. What do I do? And she was just, remember, this is not real. This is not where you are right now. You've been through here. So I said, just go with it. And so I realized once I came out of there, I was like, okay, well, this explains why I have a weird obsession with medieval Europe. And like, this is why I cannot watch movies or read books where executions are happening.
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't understand it. And I was like, okay, that's why. Like I'm like mortified by the idea of like execution. So like I'll watch shows like The Tudors where they're not actually showing someone being beheaded, but there's people being led to their execution, and I gotta fast forward through it because I can't.
Exactly.
And then also
So
why I had no desire ever to be a doctor because I was a doctor in a past life, and it led to
and plus you don't need to be a doctor in this lifetime because you've done that already. But
Yeah.
what I also like to do too, only because of time as well, because we spent a lot of time on Gabriella, as we should have. I want you to also tie in with the different modalities you've had with Gabriella, Natal, and Sherry, also how you've incorporated doing this healing on your own as well. Share a little bit, like about 3 minutes worth of conversation about how you now have the ability to do healing on your own.
Well, yeah. Well, I spoke about my knee this week, which was probably the most obvious example of that most recently. I'm able sort of to do my own meditation. And I don't know whether it's anything organized or specific the way that you would describe it. But
and it doesn't have to be.
yeah, I don't think it has to be. I never thought it had to be. That's one of the reasons why I had a hard time doing this myself. Is I was like, well, there needs to be a process, right? You need to have like the crystals and all this. And I just gave up on that and said, no, I could do whatever way I wanted.
Exactly. There's no wrong way of doing meditation. I mean, theoretically, however you do it, you do it.
So I will very often, either. Well, one thing I like to do is find a scent that sort of inspires me, and sometimes usually it's incense. But sometimes I just do something as simple as just smell a banana, and the smell will trigger the whole process, and then I'll do meditation from there. And what I've been able to do is sort of like, especially deal with anxiety and anger and either resentment or sadness or whatever this is. And very often what I do is it's either I'm able to sort of like release it, let it go, or my body will say, all right, these are the steps you have to take to release it. So a good example is I had my partner moving away back in the late summer, which was a shock to me, and it was a surprise and made me very sad. Meditation several times to try to release it, and I just heard my body say, no, you have to sort of barrel through it. And so I played sad music and watched sad movies, cried my eyes out for days. And that was just the way that because it just was too much energy for it just to let go. It had to come out the way it came out. So that was, and after that I felt fine. And so learning how to contain, release energies in the most appropriate ways, I think is what I'm able to do on my own now. Excellent.
I love that. So what I'd like you to do, Nick, is let our viewers know how they can reach you.
Mm-hmm. NickRafter@gmail.com, or go to my website, Nick Rafter Writes at NickRafterWrites.com.
Yes. And Nick does write a blog, and I'm sure he'll be writing a little bit about today's show and adding more to both all of his experiences with all three of the practitioners. I'm sure he'll do that because that's what he does.
Yeah,
so with that being,
what's that? I did actually write blog posts for Sherry and Natal when I did healing with them. So you can read them on the blog.
Awesome. And then I'll go back to that and share that too on my page. So Nick, it is such a pleasure to have you here and share your amazing story of your healing and how this healing is actually going to help you through 2022. Mm-hmm. And of course, we'll have Nick back on the show in 2022 so he can continue to share all this healing that he's been doing and how it is helping him move into 2022. But due to time, we do need to take a commercial break. And when I come back, I will give you the conclusion of today's show. So we'll be right back.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kitty Foss.
And I'm Amy J.
And we're Intuition of the Soul. We are a Facebook and YouTube group that has created a sacred spiritual place to look at your spiritual practices.
And there's too much to tell you about what we do, but let me tell you, we have weekly activities, we have monthly activities, and you are not going to want to miss our spiritual practitioner series. So join us on Intuition of the Soul.
Aloha. Aloha.
Hey, this is Joe Monkman, and I am a personal development trainer. And that means that I help people step into their leadership roles, take their place as a visionary, really understand their own mastery in the world so that they can really find their place at the buffet of life. And if you want to know more, you can find me on my Facebook page at Joe Monkman and joemonkman@gmail.com.
Hi guys, I'm Kendrick Cortez Greer, personal astrologer and astrological counselor here in Brooklyn, New York. I've been an astrologer for over 23 years now, providing astrological readings, counseling sessions, workshops, and corporate events all throughout the tri-state area. I've been very blessed and lucky to have clients all throughout the United States and beyond. If you're interested in a reading that is warm, heartfelt, honest, and conducive to speaking to one of your best friends, please contact me at 917-863-7528. You can also email me at kendrickstar@gmail.com. That's Kendrick, STAR@gmail.com. And for you Insta people, find me on Instagram at Kendrick Cortez Astrology. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Toodles.
Hello and welcome back to Joanne's Healing Within. If you are just tuning in, I'm your host, Joanne Angel Barry Cologne. I had my amazing guest, Nick Rafter, on, who is our real estate agent. He's also our writer, editor, and journalist. And he just shared his amazing healing journey that he's had in the last 2 years and how this amazing journey is going to help him through 2022. And really proud of him as one of my clients who is also a student, because he's actually learning, he's implementing all of the healing that he's done for himself and learning how to implement it and actually do it. So that's amazing. Please go and follow him. And he's shared some amazing insight about 3 amazing practitioners. We have Gabriella, we also had Natal Bradbury, and also Sherry Simpson. You can find all 3 of them on Facebook. So I do want to throw out some promos here because we have some amazing people doing some amazing work, such as we have CJ Ives. She's offering a program, an event called Jingle Bells on December 4th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. Now, of course, I didn't transform that into the Eastern time, so you have some homework to do. Then we also have Joel Monkment, Spirit Communication. He offers that every Wednesday night at 8 p.m., and he provides insight from Spirit. And if there's enough time, he also offers one-on-one messages. So join him 8 p.m. Eastern time every Wednesday night. And then there is Intuition of the Souls with Kitty and Amy. They have amazing programs every single day. There's one that I actually participate in, which takes place on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. to about 10:30 p.m. It's really long. It's spirit communication, I think they call it. And you actually get to practice. So if you are someone who does readings, whether you use cards, pendulums, whatever your niche is, you definitely want to come and join that group. And then you get to do group readings as well. That's Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So all that being said, I do want to remind you that next Sunday, due to the fact that Thanksgiving is this coming week, next Sunday, Joanne's Healing Within will not air live. I'll do my best to post some shows for you so you don't miss any. You can also take the opportunity to go and watch on Roku and also our 2 YouTube channels, again, Strong Island Entertainment or Holistic Fitness Barry Cologne. And I will be back in probably 2 weeks because I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be here the first Sunday in December, but I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated. All that being said, enjoy the remaining portion of the day and all this amazing energy and the final days of Scorpio season. Bye-bye for now.